Session 12. Session 12. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We begin with the name of God, who is most gracious and merciful. Nahmaduhu nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. And we begin with blessings on Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We continue with Surah Baqarah, the second surah of Quran, and we continue with verse 102. Babel was a famous city of Iraq. At one time, it became known for black magic, and the Jews got into this unfair practice. The prophets and pious people used to ask them to stop them, but they wouldn't listen. Even more dangerous was that people considered the magics to be miracles and had made them their religious guides. At this time, Allah sent His two angels to convey to the people the reality of magic and tell the people that these had nothing to do with the miracles of Allah. Miracle is a function of Allah in which any apparent cause has no function. To the contrary, what is done and displayed through magic is a part of cause and effect. To elaborate this thing, the two angels had given out various ways, methods of magic to show as to how these were related to cause and effect. But when they elaborated these methods, they used to warn people that the latter should remember that they, the two angels, are not telling these so that you should practice them, but they are being told to explain to them the difference between magic and miracle, and that you abstain from magic. As such, our presence is a test for you, that having understood our words, whether you desist from magic or having learnt the ways of doing magic, you start practicing it. This task, rather than being given to the prophets, was given to angels, because giving the ways of doing magic, even if the objective is pious, does not behoove the prophets of Allah. Opposed to this, since angels are not subjected to reward or punishment, many an ordained, constructive, desired duties can be taken from them. Anyway, a lot many disobedient people disregarded the directions, warnings of the two angels and started using the formulae they had given in doing magic. And that too for such draconian purpose which was forbidden in any way. For example, creating a wedge between a husband and a wife to an extent that it leads to divorce. Here man is being warned of another principal mistake. Those who believed in magic used to think that magic carries such effects in itself by which the desired results are achieved without the orders of Allah. So whether Allah desires or doesn't, the required result would inevitably be produced. This belief by itself meant disbelieving. That is why it has been made clear that just like other causes, magic is simply a cause, and no cause in the world can produce that result unless and until the will or permission of Allah is in or with it. Nothing in the universes has the power strength to benefit or harm anyone by itself. However, since this world is a place to test people, as such, the Sunnah practice of Allah is that when a man disobeying Allah wants to commit a sin or wants to commit an excess, zulm, atrocity on someone, so Allah makes it a part of his fate. He lets it happen. As a consequence, the perpetrator of tyranny becomes sinful, gets sin in his account, and the victim, the molested, harmed, gets the reward, sawab. Otherwise, if Allah doesn't give anyone the liberty of committing sins, then there can be no test. I say again that if Allah doesn't give anyone the liberty of committing sins, then there can be no test. As such, all the sins that are committed in this world are committed with the liberty given by Allah and in the fitness of things, though Allah's approval is not with them. And the difference between fate and Allah's pleasure is that fate is related to the good and bad deeds, but His pleasure lies in permissible and pious deeds. I say again that the difference between fate and Allah's pleasure is that fate is related to the good and bad deeds, but His pleasure, Allah's pleasure, lies in permissible and pious deeds. In the beginning of the verse, it is stated that they know that whatever is a purchaser of, whoever is a purchaser of shirk, that is magic, he has no share reward hereafter. But at the end of the verse, it is stated, alas, if they had knowledge. It means they don't have the real knowledge. Verses 103 and 104. وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ آمَنُوا وَاتَّقُوا لَمَصُوبَةٌ مِّنْ عِندِ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. And had those imprudent, rash, heedless people believed and feared Allah, they'd have had definitely much better returns from Allah. Alas, if they had but used some sense, they wouldn't have plundered. 104. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu la taqulu ra'ina wa qulu zurna wasma'u walil kafirina azabun alim. O believers, you do not say to our Prophet, Ra'ina, an ambiguous word for listen, may you become deaf. And say unzurna, look upon us and keep listening to him carefully. And the disbelievers who insult, dishonor, blaspheme our messenger have a horrendous, terrible punishment. Some Jews living in Medina were quite mischievous. When they used to meet Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, they used the word Raina in Arabic meaning give us concession. If alphabet Ain would be stretched, it would become Raina, which means our shepherd. Thus, the Jews' inner intention was to use this word in bad meanings. This verse conveys the lesson that use of such words is inappropriate, wherein there is a probability of wrong meanings or creation of some misunderstanding. In the next verse, the reason is also given For this disliking, jealousy as to why has Prophet Muhammad been given to prophethood been given to Muhammad, peace be upon him, who belonged to the other tribe. Verses 102, 105 and 106. ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسها نأتي بخير منها أو مثلها ألم تعلم إن الله على كل شيء قدير. Whenever we abrogate a verse or cause it to be forgotten by the Prophet, we dispatch one better than it or one equal to it. Don't you know that Allah has power over everything? It has been a sunnah with Allah that the changing conditions in different periods, He has been changing His subsidiary secondary orders, whereas the basic fundamentals like unity of Allah, prophethood, accountability hereafter, etc., have remained unchanged. At the same time, those practical orders which were given to Prophet Moses, some from them were changed during the period of Prophet Isa, Jesus, son of Maryam, and in the period of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, there were increased changes. As such, when Muhammad's peace be upon him was given the prophethood, his dawah, that is, his call to accept Islam, had to pass through various stages, and the Muslims were facing all sorts of problems. As such, Allah gave His orders progressively. An order was given to at one time, after some time, it was replaced with another. For example, the changing of the direction of Qibla, that the direction to be faced in Salah prayers, details about which would come ahead in Surah verse 115. In subsidiary orders, it is called substitution or replacement. Jews in particular and other disbelievers in general raised this objection that if these orders are from Allah, why are they being changed? This verse was revealed as an answer to their query. The answer in a nutshell is that Allah makes these changes in accordance with His hikmah, wisdom, in accordance with the changing circumstances. And whichever order is cancelled, it is replaced, substituted with such an order which is more appropriate in the changed conditions or as useful as the previous order was. 107 and 108. Alam talam inna allaha lahu mulku samawati wal arz wa ma lakum min dunillahi min waliyyin wa la nasir. Do you know that for Allah alone, who has no shareholders whatsoever, is the kingdom, its existence, sovereignty, and of the skies and the earth, and other than Allah, you have no protector or helper. Verse 108. Am turiduna an tasalu rasulakum kama suila Musa min qabl وَمَنْ يَتَبَدَّلِ الْكُفْرَ بِالْإِيمَانِ فَقَدْ زَلَّ سَوَاءً سَبِيلٌ. Do you, O Muslims, also want to pester your prophet the way Moses was questioned and pestered earlier? And whoever takes disbelieving becomes skeptical, doubting after having believed, so he has digressed, swayed from the straight path of Allah. Jews are being addressed who, instead of believing in the prophethood of Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to put various demands. Along with it, the Muslims are also being taught that the way the Jews have believed Prophet Musa, having believed Prophet Moses used to ask inappropriate and unnecessary questions and demands, you shouldn't do the same. And last of all, verses 109 and 110 today. وَدَّ كَثِيرٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ لَا يَرُدُّونَكُم مِّن بَعْدِ إِيمَانِكُمْ كُفَّارًا حَسَدًا مِّنْ عِندِ أَنفُسِهِم مِّن بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الْحَقُّ وَاعْفُوا وَاصْفَحُوا حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَىٰ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. It's the harsh desire of many a people of the book to somehow revert you from believers to be disbelievers on account of the jealousy of their hearts, even after the truth has become manifest to them. So you pardon and disregard till Allah sends His order. Definitely, Allah can do anything He likes. He is all supreme. Verse 110. وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَمَا تُقَدِّمُوا أَنفُسَكُم مِّن خَيْرٍ تَجِدُوهُ عِندَ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ بَصِيرٌ. And establish salah, congregational prayers, and keep giving zakah, mandatory alms for the poor, needy, and those who are committed to learning and teaching Quran. And have no doubts, whatever good you had no doubts that whatever good you'd send ahead for yourself, you will find it. See it with Allah. Definitely, Allah observes whatever deeds you do. He sees all unmistakably, clearly, knowing even your inner motives. The Jews say that only the Jews would go to heaven, and the Christians say that only the Christians would go to heaven. Here we end for today, shall continue in the next session. Jazakallah. Peace.